Hello and welcome to another cloud workshop video. And today we start on a new series with Fulden. Fulden has a vast amount of expertise and knowledge in the areas that she covers, and that's really encouraging because we'll learn so much more. So handing over to Fulden to take us on our journey today.
Hi everyone. On this journey, um, we will be talking about, on the first week, we will be talking about mindset and reality shift. Are you ready? All
Yeah,
right,
go for it, Fulden.
let's start then. I will be sharing my screen.
Excellent. So here we go, the subject mindset and reality shift, entering the first phase of understanding. Fulden.
Yes. And AI is ready, are we? Rethinking work, data, and human potential. And this is our first week. As we said, it is about mindset and reality shift. And then we will continue with following 3 weeks about different subjects. These are going to be foundations for the intelligent era. It will be a little awkward to talk to you about myself. My name is Fulden, and I studied a number of different things. And my current excitement is about AI. So on to you, John.
Okay, so I'm John Fairest. I'm an AI consultant and trainer. Um, Currently actually doing an apprenticeship as well within the AI field. And alongside Fulden, I have been involved in mentoring as well. Yes, a wide variety of different aspects there as well.
Perfect. So are we truly ready for AI?
I don't know. I think the rest of the world is asking that question, to be honest.
I
Manual
know.
work still dominates. Does that mean to say that we are looking for an office-based, operational basis, or what within that perspective?
Well, for different things, really, for all of these, manual work as it is still dominates. We are still working on spreadsheets, chasing data, disconnected systems, and what we are seeing globally right now is something quite interesting. Employees are ready, but organizations are not quite ready. So, what do you think about this, John?
I think a lot of companies have got aspects like Office. They are using things like Google Spreadsheets. Data is something that the lady in the office knows more about than the guy out in the field. Data can be transmitted from field staff doing all sorts of jobs straight through, but so can the office staff. Disconnected systems. Fulden, that sounds interesting. What do we mean by disconnected systems?
Yeah, disconnected systems, like think about an organization as a living creature, just like us. So
Right.
if my arm is disconnected from my body, then I couldn't really make it work, right? It is the same thing within an organization, different departments. If they are not connected properly, then they can't work. They can't, I mean, it will be dysfunctional.
So the guy out in the field working, doing, let's say a plumber is working for a
Hmm.
plumbing company and his tablet, for some reason, he's got no internet. Does that mean he is a disconnected system from his office?
No, that's not what I mean. For example, let's say it is my company and I have like accounts department, and then I have a sales department, I have marketing department, I have production department. If these departments are not connected properly and do not know what each department is doing, which overlaps with each other, then the company will be dysfunctional.
Okay. So an example of that might mean if you're all using the same system, as an example, probably a well-known one for a lot of people is something like HubSpot or Oracle or something, one of these large systems. If they're all connected to that, they're all connected to one system, and can operate their, share their content. I mean, Google Drive might be a system. Microsoft Office might be a system that everybody shares. Is that what we're referring to?
Fairly kind of, but not completely. It is.
Excellent.
We will come into this, right? We will explain more about this, what we mean exactly. So, moving to the next concept. One of the, I believe, one of the biggest misconceptions of AI is about the tools. What do you think about this, John?
hmm What do I think about it?
Yes.
I think AI might save us time if we know how to use this, something like ChatGPT. This is something we might call AI. We might call something like Microsoft Copilot AI, which we might have access. We might call AI Gemini a software. Expanding capabilities. Have you ever seen one of my emails that makes any sense? Possibly not. If you have seen that one that makes some sense and is easily readable with all the grammar and the spelling mistakes resolved, it may be that I used it through something called AI and got it rewritten that way.
Yes, yes, sure. Yes, but it is not just limited about correcting our spellings or asking the AI to write an email response for us. There are so many things it is capable of helping us with our work or daily tasks, right?
Okay, so explain the other things that people might have heard of.
Yes, we will explain this. That's why we are saying AI expands our capability,
Yeah.
but depends on how we make use of these tools. Ah, big concept, huh?
Explain how you're going to judge us.
Well, okay. AI
Mhm.
can provide us with many options when we require. And if we ask the right questions, well, in this case, more technically, if we feed the AI with the correct prompts. However, in the end of the day, it comes to us, to human beings, to make the correct judgment. That's the human age. AI cannot decide for us. We decide, we make the judgment in the end of the day.
Is that the decision or judgment on how we're going to prompt the AI for its response? Is that what you're indicating to us here?
Both,
Yeah.
yeah.
Does it also mean that when we get that content back, we have got to look for the word hallucination? coming into our mind to make sure the information returned is accurate? Or could it also mean
Sure.
that we're looking at something called, please AI, give us the citation to prove the return of information is accurate to the return of information that we are expecting?
Yes, it is not presumptions from reading um, through internet from thousands of pages, but the information we are provided with is the result of accurate research.
Mhm.
So then
Now,
we know the information we are provided by AI is correct, not just presumption.
yes. So Google, as many website owners or developers will know, has actually reduced the number of pages it will search before giving the content back within the search system. So they changed their algorithm in the last year or so significantly from a search engine optimization viewpoint. This, I'm anticipating, comes into that same category where the returning of information has to be judged as to whether that's the information that we're actually expecting or seeking, and not just generated to an algorithmic need.
That's right. That's right. Yes. Okay, so shall we give a few examples? So it will be perhaps um, more clear to our audience. Let's give them, for example, a finance scenario. Across organizations, finance teams often face a familiar scenario: data from multiple systems, manual consolidation, heavy reliance on spreadsheets, and uh, doing what they need to do sometimes takes days or weeks even.
Yes, you're
So
right.
when these things are modernized, what happens? Data flows more automatically, and AI highlights anomalies, and then um, the work it takes sometimes weeks can take only a couple of hours.
Yeah, I think the other angle to that, if I may be as bold as suggest, is if you're prompting something and you're not seeing the return of information or the
Mhm,
results actually being delivered. As an example, if you're using Bolt as a coding system for a website, if you put something in and you don't see the change occurring, then you need to actually ask why this isn't ready. And I found personally, I use the plan option because it reduced token usage, which again is a key part of AI at this time.
mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. Maybe let's give another example, if that's all right. So we have given an example about days to hours, and the next will be about changing from reacting to anticipating.
Mhm.
Would you like to tell us about this?
I think the prompting, what I found is
Mhm,
within AI,
mhm,
is we often get a reaction that we're now expecting. Classic example is if we put content in to
mhm,
say Gemini and
mhm,
Nano Banana for an image. A year or so back, you could have virtually guaranteed every image had at least one spelling mistake in it. Um,
mhm.
I'm now able to generate content within seconds that I could not have done a year ago. And the spelling generally will be accurate.
Mhm.
So certainly from an image generation, AI content generation, it is quite effective. And it anticipates roughly the thought process. I don't know how it does it. I don't know how it that works out, the design, the color scheme, and everything else behind some of the content, and comes back with something that's readable and digestible. Do you?
But sometimes I'm able to create what I would like to create, and sometimes it is not the case. So different AI AI software do work differently, and they are not all capable of producing the similar work as the other one. So I guess we will need to go through this on a different program, on a different broadcast. It is because they slightly differ from each other, right? Cloud, Gemini, um, Copilot,
Yeah,
all of these
if
works.
I was to turn around and say my personal opinion, there are some of them that are a lot better at image generation than
Yes.
others. The classic, and this is the classic one that I found just this last couple of weeks, and taking on board, we're recording this in July. In June, there was a whole load of launches with Microsoft, with Google. They had their launch periods where everybody was launching at the same time.
Hmm. Including Amazon.
And I was finding that Gemini, yeah, I was actually asking for it to generate an image with a person's face on it that I had permissions already to use. I was providing that face. It would inform
Mhm.
me it wasn't prepared to do it because it was a public figure.
Ah, that's really
Ah,
interesting.
yes. So I then ran it through as an example, and I'm sure you'll be explaining more about this that sort of thing. But then I find that with other systems like ChatGPT,
Mhm.
it would do it, no problem.
Mhm.
I would suggest that some of the large language models are good at certain areas. Perplexity is a very well-known one. Perplexity, absolutely brilliant on knowledge base. It has its own browser Comet, etc., that was released. I think it was last year. That's brilliant for knowledge citation, footnotes, and everything else. It will give you that citation of that information, which helps from reacting to anticipating what we actually want, what our end user is going to want. But I
Mhm.
think, and here's a thought process for the prompting side, if you don't mind me adding this in.
Mhm.
If you don't prompt who the audience is for,
Mhm.
how do you expect the LLM to generate it for that audience? It knows the different types of audience expectation. That's already been built within the data that it's running from. It can, if you give it the demographic of the anticipated user, again, it will refine the content around it. So if I was to say it's for Fulden, who is an IT specialist, whiz kid, director, great business lady with lots and lots of experience, you're not going to get a simplistic message. You're going to get an informative message and return back, aren't you?
That's right.
Does it make a difference if you're using Claude, and why?
Well, it does. It does. For example, I heavily use Microsoft Copilot
Hmm.
on my day-to-day work tasks. It is
Hmm.
because I'm working as an operations manager and it is perfect for my cause. However,
Hmm.
for example, if you like to produce forms for your engineers or for staff or anything like this, I find cloud is more successful.
Hmm.
However, with cloud, for example, I find the language is American English, whereas with Microsoft Copilot, it is more British English.
Yeah. I find one of the benefits of Claude is that within the settings, you can set the profile of who you are and the content style that you want it generated in.
Mhm,
which again I find quite useful. You also have that within some of the blog software, like Text Builder, where
mhm,
you can actually preset the conditions of the content and style of language you want to use. So it could
mhm,
be academic to somebody at school level, degree
mhm,
level, or manage financial director or something like that level. It can
mhm.
actually identify some of those things, which I find very useful from the reacting and anticipating end result.
Yes, yes, it certainly has. So then is it the systems? When companies modernize, so how do you think they should be choosing? Is it the systems they should choose, or is it the uh, AI systems they need to choose to adapt into their companies? Well, what do they need to consider?
They have to consider their brand identity.
Mhm,
That should be built into the profile of the generation of the content so that messages going out relate to that.
mhm,
Now, that actually can be built into your AI chatbot as part of the instruction, the profile of the chatbot, what they're
mhm,
responding to, what they are not allowed or allowed to say, and also how close content that can be to, or how I think it's the temperature or something, the phrase that's used, correct me if I'm wrong, but
mhm,
they actually detect, there's a slider on the chat systems, and I
mhm.
quote from 11 Labs as an example, where we can actually slide how much latency the LLM will actually use in its response to the question. Now, that
Mhm.
includes on the audio side of it as well. You can actually make the response slower or faster.
Perfect. Thank you for the explanation. It's very important, I think. So, for example, in high volume consumer environments, teams often spend more time managing requests rather than solving them. So, how does AI help with this? I will give you a clue.
Deep research or basic research?
Depends.
Okay, so here's an example.
Mhm,
I'm going to give you a software called Notebook LM. It's free, it's with Google. Within it, you can create something called a notebook.
mhm,
I've recently done a video on the site uh, with regards to this because it will go off speed wise. I can have a quick speed check or I can have an in-depth researched area.
mhm.
Now, is there a catch with the in-depth in terms of cost of tokens?
Yes, cost increases, right?
Yeah. So
Mhm,
the speed and the clarity, I have to still check to make sure that the search return is relevant to the subject. And I would personally use in that instance something like Perplexity
mhm.
and Notebook LM as a combined operation so I can give the citations and identify that the content I'm generating is relevant to the topic and that the content being generated is subject focused. Here's another angle to this clarity.
Mhm,
I tend to prompt within the UK
mhm.
for pounds rather than dollars. Does that make a difference? Yes, on the returns.
In terms of clarity, it does make huge difference. Okay, one thing, for example, we see about the organizations, they are rushing into AI, and this is causing them problems. So there is one single reason for this. When they rush into AI, and you know what it is, you experience this a lot, right?
I think there is, I'm going to read controversial here.
Mhm.
Is that okay?
Sure.
I think there has been a rush because they're being sold the concept that it's going to make a difference. They can be more competitive. Yes, I agree. Certain companies, as we can see in the recent media, and I will quote Ed Zitron as a Financial Times columnist or Financial Times person who comes regularly on their tech report, as
Mhm.
indicating that a lot of people were encouraged and motivated to use as much data as possible. And it's been widely reported that organizations have tried to tell their staff use it for whatever reason, use it, and then they realize it's costing. And that comes back to that earlier concept. So I think there is a paradigm shift between the
So,
usage.
let me stop you there. When the staff uses data available to them, what
Yeah,
happens?
we get overloaded.
Well, not just overloaded, is it? If data is not ready, if it is not cleansed, if it is not refined properly for the use of the company, if data is not clean, then
Okay,
there is a great
sorry,
possibility the
can I
response
can
they
I
will
stop you
receive
there?
from their AI.
Fulden.
1 second, let me finish this. It is very important because we experience this a lot. This stuff will get misleading information extracted from AI, from their AI, and then there will be wrong calculations they extract from AI. So in the end, that will lead to wrong decision making. Please continue. I'm sorry for interrupting you there.
Okay. Um, for those watching the video, can you explain what cleaning data is? Because normally I let the cleaner in with a mop and bucket. I don't normally let them near the data. Can you explain what that data, why the data would be needed to be cleaned, and what that process might actually involve?
Well, it involves data science, actually, data cleansing. It is um, on the data sets, there may be wrong information, wrong data entered initially when it was being prepared, and then there may be data not relevant for a particular reason, for a particular purpose, let's say, and then some data may have maybe um, may have missing missing fields.
Yeah, I mean, a
For
classic,
example, let's say you have in the data um, some kind of number fields full, but then where the data source is not clear. So if you don't know the source of the data, you cannot and you shouldn't use the data because you don't know if data is there just by mistake, mistakenly typed in the first place, or it just doesn't mean anything. So
nice.
all that type of data has to be eliminated from the actual database. or data set before
So
being
as an
available
example,
to
as an
use
example,
it.
you could have a discount that's put in on only applies for a certain month on a sales figure that obviously reaches the end. You don't want that discount there. You actually want the discount removed at the end of the sale. Or you could have a postcode for an address that is actually inaccurate. For anybody who's ever gone around a new housing estate, for example, you might have plot one, plot two, plot
Mhm,
three. That's over a period of time then becomes one, house two, house three, no
mhm.
longer the plot. So that would be a database change that you might make within a business, as an example. Okay.
Yes, yes. So then our next concept is, what does that mean, John?
AI has to be given the prompt for the execution to deliver the return, as we've said earlier on.
Mhm.
The human, in my opinion, needs to direct that execution clearly to ensure that they get the correct feedback off AI. Or am I wrong?
Yes, yes, you are. I mean, when we use AI, it executes several options for us, or one output, or more than one output. But then what we do with what we get from AI is, first of all, our the direction comes from us. We give direction to the information we extract from AI, and then we make a judgment about the results. And then we have to own our decision. We are the owners of decision, not AI. AI just gives us the information about what we asked.
Okay, now I find it interesting on this because
Mhm,
you can find when you're prompting AI that it will actually
mhm,
give you questions back for clarification as to exactly what you want something returned as. Could be a, do you want this returned as a PowerPoint? Do you want to return this as a PDF? Do you want this as a summary or a 1500 word academic paper?
mhm.
Um, I think I know which I prefer often, which is I am somebody who likes to digest image, video, rather than lengthy text. I don't. I struggle reading the large lengths. I forget what's at the beginning. But
Mhm.
each person's different, so our communication is quite important in this area, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. AI is machine learning, right? So AI learns from the user. So the more you communicate with AI, AI knows more about you, your style, how you communicate, and then it kind of mimics you. But it never tries to change you or impose its own style to us. So what AI creates in the end of a work progress is something comes to that particular end moment with our own decisions. That's why I was saying it is not only about making decisions, judgment, but at the same time, ownership. We own our decisions in the end. So the same concept, for example, let's say, as you said, you want to create a PDF about this certain subject. We start with AI using exactly the same AI software. The end product will be different, totally different. One would not be the same as the other one.
Mhm.
So that brings us to modern expectations and old systems. What do we mean by that? So there is something very important happening inside organizations, right?
Potentially.
Yeah. People feel the pressure to use AI and move faster in their work, and they are trying to do their best, but many organizations operate with old systems and expectations.
Yes.
But the expectations are modern, systems are old.
Yeah, the systems do update themselves, or most companies will all pay for a license that will update.
Mhm,
But the other added extra to the old systems is that we have the frameworks like our legal requirements like GDPR.
mhm,
We have our information person within our organization that will be keen to ensure that our policies
mhm,
work within these new systems. You might say, your company might say, oh, well, I'll tell you what, we'll try that free software, this, that, the other. And then we might be worried about our security
mhm, mhm.
on the software. So there may be the modern expectations on the old systems, but it's also the expectations that company directors, management boards, etc., will be
Mhm.
looking at of any AI system to make sure that it suits their company policy requirements.
Yes, and also they will feel secure.
Yeah,
So security has to be in place as well.
yeah. I mean, that it also has to run within the infrastructure that we have access to. And I'm going to be really awkward here in saying if you're using certain cloud-based operations, it's
Mhm.
got to work with those effectively and integrate into it.
Of course, so this is where actually real leadership becomes very critical.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, many the research shows organizational culture has more impact on AI success than individual effort. What would you
Mhm.
think about this?
What do I think about it? Is I've
Yes.
experienced it. I've experienced the challenge because
Mhm,
the organization I work for
mhm,
is part of a group of companies within the UK with a several billion-pound turnover.
mhm,
Um, and it's using something called Microsoft Azure that many
mhm.
people may have heard of Microsoft Office, Microsoft X, Y, and Z. It's part of that culture. Azure is a cloud-based operating system that uses this, but not all staff are going to be trained within these companies to actually use the software. And it'll tend to be a limited number of people who know how the software is working, how it operationally will function. And often within businesses, we don't have a culture of providing AI as the training, which for us at Phase Bound and the Cloud Workshop is going to be a key thing that we're looking forward to taking forward to companies, isn't it, Fulden?
Yes, it is indeed.
What's your take on it then? Come on. Modernization starts with the decision.
Of course, modernization always starts with a decision, right?
What decision
We
would
can't
you
just sit and
recommend?
wait for it to happen. We need to make a decision upon it. So when do we need to make this decision? Not
Yeah.
next year, following year, but next week.
Okay. Does that mean to say it should be, how would you recommend it be implemented into an SME or larger business?
Oh, it has to be. It has to be. But I'm not pushing for it because for every company, there are different AI software to be implemented, depending on the size of the company, depending on the users' knowledge. And then if they need to be trained, end users, well, obviously need to be trained. If end users are not trained, if the data is not ready for AI use, then the companies are not going to be able to make the best of it. So we
True.
would like both these in place.
But you put up there, pardon me for pausing you on this, not next year, next week. It
Yes.
starts with a decision. So if this video reflects on of a bit a small medium enterprise or maybe larger, if you are looking at implementation, what process would you go through to make those decisions?
Well, you have
Timescale those.
experience, John. You tell me.
Okay, I would suggest that the first thing you do is make the decision to research with a benchmark and an understanding of what you're looking to get out of your software,
Mhm.
who is going to be using it potentially, and why they're going to use it, and actually have a clear thought process for that that a board can review and look at clearly to understand um, uh, those
What you
examples.
want to
Now,
achieve.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let me just suggest we have on the bottom of this slide, Fulden
Mhm.
prepared with assistance from Microsoft Copilot. Now, Copilot is something that comes with Microsoft 365, which if you've already got the license for, you may find, shock horror, there might be buttons on the computer to activate Copilot. And there is training available and there'll be support available through organizations like Phasebound to actually get an understanding. We're putting content out along with that. And then I'm going to hand it back over to Fulden before I say any more.
Yes, we will be happy to guide you. We will be happy to give you information. And we will be happy if you communicate with us and ask your questions. So we will be happy to hear from you. And until then, next week we will be on practical use cases.
Yes.
Together with John, we will talk about this.
Yeah. So if I may say
Yes.
here, clearly our next week we're looking at practical use cases of AI, which is really, really good. And obviously, if you put any comments into this video, we can then look at the practical uses based on your comments and queries, etc. Fulden has clearly identified the implementation workflow and risk governance and leadership, all key components of the content that we are providing here. Cloud Workshop. Fulden is taking a lead in this within the business sector when we are very pleased she is in supporting us going through this particular journey.
Well, you have the expert here, John.
Yeah, there's loads of experts. There's people that know that keeping up to date with AI is indeed one of the most interesting challenges under the sun. If you're thinking it's going too fast, go at a pace you can cope with so that you don't feel you're getting out of your depth. If you don't know, you'll never find out unless you ask.
So if you like, please join us on Facebook. So subscribe us on YouTube channel. You can scan the code if this is easier for you. And we will be happy to hear from you.
We
Ask if you may have any questions about this session or if you like us to add anything on the next week's session, we will be happy to hear.
indeed, Fulden, you've done an absolutely fantastic job on this, and it's really, really appreciated.
Not at
You could,
all. You have been so helpful, very valuable guidance. Thank you so much. I
no
always
problem.
learn from you, John. That's wonderful.
So keep, if you've now you found this video, if you'll find us both on LinkedIn. Facebound has been set up as a cloud workshop by a group of mentors who have all studied in the same environment. So we understand some of the challenges you may be facing taking your team through training, and we're here to support you with the mentoring and the cloud workshop field. Thank you for
Thank you
joining me
so
on this
much.
video.
See you next week.